Hjertelig velkommen tilbake, kjære internett, til en ny episode av Blablabla.
Stanley decided to go to the
Ja,
meeting room.
det er greit.
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Det er greit. Skal vi se. Ja, velkommen tilbake til Karl spiller The Stanley Parable. Awaiting input. I forrige episode så fikk vi en slutt, der hvor Stanley var veldig glad. Han trivdes og koste seg, og forsvant ut i lyset.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
No, he did not. Nå skal vi ikke høre på
This
fortelleren.
was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Eller noe? Skal vi se. 450. Employee Lounge. Det er ganske fint her, da.
Yes,
There's
truly a
some
room worth
cola.
admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Yes.
But
Right.
eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
The first open door on his left. Det var den der. Skal vi ta den, eller skal vi ikke ta den? Fuck it! Vi tar ikke den. Oi.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Det sier noe. Ok. Penalty for misuse of cargo lift. Penalty for jumping off the cargo lift. Ok.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
Yes, maybe
I'm
we
not
have.
your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time.
Indeed.
There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Hæ? Hvem er hun?
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life.
Ok.
She's been waiting.
Has she now? Ok, inn her, inn i mørket. Det ser bra ut, det gjør vi. Oi. Oh, Jesus.
That's her, Stanley.
Oh my god.
You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Da prøver vi å pick up the phone. Oh. 427.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Wow, shit.
Gotcha.
Skvatt jeg faktisk.
Come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm
Yes.
trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
Gøy. Nå begynner fortelleren å bli litt skummel og slem.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Yeah. Press 8 on your keyboard. No. I don't want to. Press 8 on my keyboard. I don't like this story. Okay.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow.
Shut up.
He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Nei, nå vil jeg ikke, for nå er du så slem. Ok da.
Look at him there, pushing
Oh.
buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now
Fuck
he's
off.
pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Has he?
But in his
Yeah.
mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
Press 8 to watch TV. Kan jeg trykke? Jeg prøver å trykke på noe annet, for jeg har ikke lyst til å gjøre sånn som han sier, men jeg må. Så vidt jeg skjønner.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth.
But they did.
The thought excited him terribly.
Press spend time with the boys.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice.
Yes.
It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Press C to prepare dinner.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Am I a baby?
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
That's what I'm thinking.
But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets. The more he forgets which life is the real
Handler
one.
dette om Stanley, eller handler det om noen andre?
And I'm trying to tell him this. That in this world he can never be anything but an observer. That as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself.
Oh no.
But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
I'm gonna do it.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Press O to question nothing. I do question things. Okay. Nå skjer det ikke noe.
I suppose I
There.
can't.
Okay.
Not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time.
Maybe.
And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button.
Please
And
die. Oi. Åh. Er jeg død? It's never the end, it's never the end, it's never... Jeg døde. Stanley døde. Er flott. Da prøver vi enda en slutt. Det er mange slutter i det spillet her, som dere kanskje skjønner.
Yes, that's where everyone would be. Stanley just needed to get to the meeting room, and from then on, he would never be alone
Eller?
ever again.
Eller er det fortsatt den andre slutten? Det kan hende. The meeting room.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ok, vi prøver en annen vei her. Det kan være. Det har vi ikke gjort ennå. Se bare.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
Nei, det vet
Feeling a
jeg.
wave of disbelief,
Dette har vi gjort før.
Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Nei, nå skal vi inn i skapet. Oi.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Nope. Nå skal jeg ikke gå inn i noe, nå skal jeg ikke høre på deg.
There was nothing here, No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Or maybe I find a reason. Find a reason to live.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. Hey, as it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
Yep. Jeg har det kjempefint med å gjøre ingenting.
Are you really still in the broom closet?
Yes.
Standing around doing nothing? Why?
Because I feel
Please
like it.
offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
I'm not listening to you. You're mean.
You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
Because I am free.
Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path.
Ja.
Maybe when you go talk about this with your friend, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite." I hope your friends find this concerning.
Det er opp til YouTube om de gjør det. Syns dere jeg er gal internett? Jeg håper ikke det.
Stanley was fat and ugly and really stupid.
Hey!
He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Åh. Det her blir bare... Fortelleren er så slem, han er
Well, I've
dust.
come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose.
Åh nei, jeg bor alene.
Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. He or she has fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place at the computer. Making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
Jeg tror dette er første gang et spill har fortalt meg at jeg er død, at jeg har dødd på keyboardet mitt, og at jeg må behentes før jeg begynner å dette sammen. Så det er første gang jeg opplevde det, og det er fint. Da har vi gjort det, ja. Er det noe mer her nå? Jeg har ikke lyst til å gi meg ennå. Er det ikke noe mer broom closet ending? Skal vi se? Ikke? Her virker det ikke sånn. Kanskje jeg må vente. Ja, vi går videre. Vi går videre.
Ah, second player. It's good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you.
You sure can't. Ok.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Hjertelig velkommen, jeg er Karl nummer 2. Nå prøver vi å spille Stanley Parable, og nå skal vi trosse mannen en gang til. Gå ned. Så det er så. Fuck you, forteller. Skal vi se? Ikke noe der. Hallois. Bil.
But Stanley just couldn't do it.
No.
He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down. Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went?
Oi.
And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
Oh my god.
Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking?
Why
now
indeed?
the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought.
Dette så mindfuck.
And
Dette
while he
så
thought it
til
all
de
very
grader
odd
mindfuck.
and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream.
What?
How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself? Believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life.
My god.
Now, hearing the voice speak these words
It
was
all
quite
makes
a
sense.
shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that?
Did you pay attention,
This voice was
voice?
a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream.
But you're still talking about it.
So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Nope. Jeg er fortsatt her.
Stanley began screaming.
Uh-oh.
Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone
shit.
tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Uh-oh. Nå begynner dette å bli litt ekkelt. This is scary.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
What?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself,
My
then
God.
collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And
Really?
in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Holy shit. Nå skjønner kanskje noen av de som ser på hvorfor dette spillet her er så genialt. Vi har nå vært gjennom 3 endings, og det får være nok for i dag. Så da fortsetter vi i neste episode, og ser hvor langt vi kommer i The Stanley Parable. Prøver å få et par slutter til. Så takk for meg, og ha det bra!
Subscribe.